lawmakers are turning up the heat on the popular TikTok app. Will it get banned this time? We'll tell you what that would mean just ahead.
Locals are calling Lake Cunningham an environmental disaster. I'm Heather Allen. Coming up, I'll tell you about the toxic conditions of the lake and what's being done about it.
For Women's History Month, she was the first in her family to go to college, a teaching trainee at San Jose State Normal School. I'm Betsy Gebhardt, and she was my grandmother. The story coming up on Update News.
From the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Lee Vern Johnson.
And I'm Heather Allen. We begin with the popular app TikTok. It may be in big trouble. This week, lawmakers are holding hearings on Capitol Hill, and they're threatening to ban the app altogether. TikTok has 150 million users in the U.S. As many as 5 million businesses use it to advertise. Now dozens of those TikTok creators are in the nation's capital lobbying lawmakers to keep the app. Reporter Asia Tebeno has an update.
If you use TikTok to promote your brand, get information out to others, or to stay connected, you may find yourself having to use another platform to do those things. That's if a ban is placed on the popular app. If legislation is passed, Apple and Google would not be allowed to offer their app to users in their stores. Users will be stuck with its latest version, as TikTok wouldn't be allowed to release new versions of the app. Professor and tech expert Ahmed Bafana says the Biden administration wants a ban because the government doesn't know enough about how much information TikTok is gathering on its app. The feds also don't know who has access to that information.
If you know everything about the mood of a certain society or a certain group, you can change it by manipulating and by sending some of those videos that will either prove something or disprove it. At the same time, it gives the location of the people are using it. So the husbands, the wife, the daughter, and the sons of important people, can get the information about them through their kids. And that's really dangerous.
Famous TikTok couple, Court and Lex, who make money on the app, says it's a large learning platform that allowed them to connect with so many different communities and people. That feeling of belonging allowed them to have the confidence to teach and share their own truths with coming out, their experiences being a gay, Black couple with children and family life, so that others can continue to learn and be inspired like them. The couple told us that in their everyday life, they felt that their words or creativity were always being suppressed, but on TikTok, they feel heard. So if it gets banned, it will be hard for them to be seen and heard on those same levels. Professor Banafa adds that if a ban is put in place, then the 5 million businesses who use TikTok for its advanced artificial intelligence and filters will no longer have access to that content. No other app is featuring that kind of technology like TikTok.
I hope TikTok doesn't get banned because the app allows me to make the most creative video transitions, and the exposure lasts longer and is wider than any other platform I've ever used.
This week, the CEO of TikTok will appear at a House committee hearing. The committee will be deciding whether or not the app is going to be sold to U.S. buyers and be regulated properly or be banned. I'm Asia Tebeno, Update News.
San Jose's new homeless program dashboard is live. A total of 8 slides highlight the city's houselessness response. The goal is to assess whether its strategies are working, but some advocates are critical of their process. Reporter Brianna Bartlett is here with reactions.
Those advocates say it's great the city is holding itself accountable, but they are in the streets, they're in the creek beds, and what they know is that it still misses the mark.
My baby, they're my baby.
This is Catherine Davis. After being unhoused for 19 years, about half her life, the city of San Jose helped her get permanent housing in an apartment in Campbell, where she lives with her dog, Dallas.
I've been blessed. January 25th is when I got my apartment. So, yes, when I got my keys, I was like, I was so excited. I went back and I told everyone, I got my apartment. I got my apartment. I was so happy.
Davis says she visits local encampments just like this one to help others she knows who are still unhoused. and the city should too.
The city needs to get out and do more for the homeless. See what they need.
At the beginning of last year, the numbers placed San Jose's unhoused population just above 6,000, but advocates say those numbers are likely way too low. Many are not out in plain sight. The city just launched a homelessness program dashboard to highlight its efforts to address the crisis. The dashboard gives info like the $115 million it spent on homeless services in a year from 2021 to 2022, and they've placed more than 4,000 in either permanent or temporary housing. But advocates say the most striking dashboard data is on page 4. It shows that the city doesn't know where 74% of unhoused residents go after they leave the city's 2 emergency shelters.
The city has no idea where they go. Can't account for them, they just disappear into the ether. The sad part is that it makes everyone go, oh, let's just let the county do it, as if the city doesn't have any accountability to deal with anybody. And that's not true.
Cartwright says the city wrongfully labels this as a homeless issue, but rather it is a crisis in housing. Pastor Scott Wagers, a 30-year advocate for the unhoused, agrees.
The key is to not let people become unhoused. Once they get there, the silver bullet, if there is one, is to get them into housing. And so the lucky few that get into housing, many are they've waited for years and years to get into housing. And they're on the list, right? But they're waiting. They're still waiting out there. Many of them die waiting on the housing list.
All 3 of these advocates expressed that the transparency offered by the dashboard is good, but the unhoused need their voices heard, and they need housing more than any other service. Live in San Jose, Brianna Bartlett, Update News.
Lake Cunningham Park has been a popular East San Jose attraction for decades. It's home to raging waters, picnic spaces, and miles of hiking trails. But with pollution from algae and goose droppings, leaders say the lake is an environmental disaster. I found out how bad things are and what leaders hope to do about it. Lake Cunningham was built over 40 years ago on former wetlands to manage floodwater from storms and serve as recreational space. But with no natural filtration process and too many nutrients in the soil, the lake has deteriorated drastically in its short history. Now, with heavy rains, some of the park grounds are flooded. That frustrates neighbors.
I think it needs a little more maintenance. I think they should put a little more money into Lake Cunningham. They should take good care of it. It's a good area for the family to come and play.
That's especially important on the east side, where green space is limited.
Having, open space, having green space, having nature close to a community, and particularly a vulnerable community, low-income community of color, otherwise, historically marginalized, is really important. It is an equity issue.
And the east side is historically disadvantaged. Most of its residents are people of color, and the median income is much lower than the Bay Area average of $120,000. A recent city report says high water temperatures, fecal bacteria, and excess nutrients that promote algae growth are to blame for the poor water quality. To make matters worse, it's prone to flooding during heavy rains. That has East Side leaders springing to action to restore the lake as much as possible. They say the lake has been neglected too long.
And I'm currently working on ensuring that the lake is prioritized not just on the local level with our city budget, but with the state and with the federal government to see if we can get some allocations to
figure out exactly what we need to ensure that we restore the lake to not just a standard that's meeting the expectations, but surpassing the expectations of the community. That's what we need, and that's what we're demanding.
Candelas and colleagues are actively seeking funding and innovative ways to restore the lake. That includes exploring alternatives to lake filtration, like a possible wetland area around the perimeter that could take the lake back to its roots.
In a nod to Women's History Month, we are spotlighting women who've had an impact on our lives. This week, we're showcasing a woman who's tied to our history here at San Jose State, the Teachers College. Back then, it was called the Normal School. In the mid-19th century, it was the very first of its kind in California. One of the long-ago alums at the normal school is the grandmother of one of our own Update News reporters, Betsy Gebhardt. Here's Betsy's story.
My grandmother was a teacher trainee. So long ago, she predates San Jose State's oldest building, Tower Hall. But I found her still. She dwells instead at the MLK Library inside the 5th floor archives. The librarians pointed me to boxes of now fragile publications from San Jose State Normal School. I found Grandma in a 1908 edition.
Here's my Grandma Jean. She hated having her picture taken, so I'm very surprised these photos even exist.
During the early decades of statehood, California's population was growing, and they needed educators.
The state was willing to put money into that and create public schools of higher education initially to teach teachers.
Unfortunately, the normal school's first building burned down, and the second, all brick, succumbed to the 1906 earthquake. 1 year later, Jean Leahy, granddaughter of Irish immigrants, entered San Jose State Normal School. She had just graduated from San Jose High, also demolished in the quake. Because of that, many of the courses were held outside. As for the curriculum, trainees learned how to teach by rote and to exercise discipline. My grandma may have needed discipline herself, because a high school yearbook caption described her as a laughing, bouncing ball of fun. What? Our stern grandmother? At a family Zoom get-together, that gave us a good laugh. After graduation, Grandma was immediately hired to teach in the oil boom town of Taft, near Bakersfield.
She was always, wagging her finger at us, saying, you girls, you need to get a good education and find a good career.
Sadly, fate cruelly intervened in her own life.
When her children were young, her husband died suddenly, and she was left to support the family. This was during the Great Depression. So thanks to her normal school credentials, she was able to go back to work.
During that Zoom call, our family realized Grandma Jean's legacy lives on through nearly half her descendants who also became educators. We teach in kindergarten, elementary school, junior high, high school, community college, all the way to the university level, thanks to where it all began with Grandma Jean and San Jose State Normal School. At San Jose State, Betsy Gebhardt, Update News.
When we come back,
struggling to balance your work, life and education? I'm Madeleine Dowds, and later on join me to find out if it's all really worth it.
And are you a fan of Skittles? If so, listen up. A California lawmaker is trying to get the candies banned. He claims the chemicals in the sweet treats are harmful. Coming up, we'll give you a progress report.
Happy first week of spring. Are we going to be seeing more rain on the way as spring begins? Find out next.
At San Jose State, we really do learn by doing. This is my first semester working on our award-winning newspaper, the Spartan Daily. But my whole time here really has been about real-world skill building. Professors like Diane Garazi continue their work in journalism while bringing that knowledge back to us in the classroom each semester. Then we're on the Spartan Daily, Update News, or the Spear. We get to put all that into practice. We even get to work with cutting-edge tools like our new VR lab, where we get to learn new ways of real storytelling using 3D virtual reality.
Our students have many opportunities to work in newsrooms that function like the ones they will encounter in their professional careers. Here in Update News, for instance, we produce a weekly show that is aired on local access television in San Jose, and we produce video news that is digital first. Students will get experience as producers, anchors, and field reporters.
The Spartan Daily, our award-winning student newspaper, has not missed a scheduled publication date in more than 80 years and remains one of the longest-standing papers of its kind in the Western United States. Through classroom instruction and our newsroom labs, we give our students the tools to succeed and create their own bright futures. Learn by doing. If you're interested in joining our program, visit our website for more information.
A tragedy on the San Jose State campus has left some students uneasy. Campus police responded to an emergency call Monday afternoon at the 10th Street garage. They discovered that an individual had apparently taken their own life. Police confirmed that the person had applied to the university before but was not a student. The administration extended its condolences to the friends and family and offered counseling services to the Spartan community. If you or someone you know is struggling, there is help available both on and off campus. You can go to or call Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. They are located in the Student Wellness Center. The number is 408-924-5910. The crisis counseling is available 24 hours a day.
Chances are you have a job to make a little extra money, and you want to get some experience in your field to make a lot of more employable. But as midterms are in full swing and exam stresses are soaring, you might be asking yourself if it's worth all of it. Reporter Madeline Dowds found some expert advice on how to achieve balance.
College costs are climbing, and most students would appreciate a few extra dollars in their pocket. The solution? A part-time job. But there are deadlines, exams, and a social life to juggle. Some fear that a job would only add unnecessary pressure.
I think I wouldn't be able to put as much work and as much effort into my studies like I do now if I had to also balance a job with that.
A recent study from Georgetown University found that over 70% of students work part-time while earning their college degree. The key to coping? Organisation.
I'm not under more pressure. I just have to be more manage my time more wisely and make sure I'm on top of my schoolwork, as well as making it to work on time and just balancing everything.
Most students work part-time for the financial benefits, but college employment has endless advantages beyond the money. Skills gained from student jobs can be academic, technical, and transferable, and the possibilities don't stop there.
Another component that's really important is the networking and building that professional connections with people who are already in the field while you're at the job.
Students and advisors recognize that working during your college years is a fantastic way to kickstart your career.
I know that I can manage it and I'm prepared for my future, so I feel like I have an advantage in some way.
Despite the long list of benefits, holding down a job while in college can be a bit of a handful. Experts say the key to balancing it all is finding a flexible employer. In San Jose, I'm Madeline Dowds, Update News.
A new study says insomniacs are at a greater risk of having a heart attack. And that's not the only serious disease a sleep disorder can cause. Reporter Alexandra Romero has more on that story.
Sometimes getting a good night's rest is harder than it seems, with school, life, work, or other obstacles getting in the way. If you're a student, you may discover that finding time to sleep is tough.
School, work, majority studying, since I usually had one exam per week for 2 months straight. So for that, I was just not sleeping at all. I was just studying constantly.
Deciding when to prioritize sleep can be an issue for some just because we have so many other responsibilities in life. That for some, it's easier just to lose sleep or try to recover another time.
But doing so can put you at risk of developing sleeping disorders like sleep apnea. How do you know if you have it? You may snore loudly or wake up feeling tired even after a full night's sleep.
So anytime you're not breathing well at night, your oxygen can drop, and the risk that we have there is endovascular damage to the arteries to your brain and your heart. Untreated sleep apnea can cause things like diabetes, high blood pressure, stroke, and heart disease.
Experts say adults are more likely to develop health problems if you sleep less than 7 hours a night. You should try to get as close to that as possible.
I do lose a balance of walking sometimes, headaches, also nausea. Sometimes my eating how I eat, I don't eat properly. People do notice the way how I don't feel like I do get enough of sleep due to my lack of body language.
It is important to stop prioritizing sleep or ensuring you have a regular sleep cycle to stay healthy. That means you go to sleep earlier or include regular exercise. Experts say you should see a specialist if you're unable to sleep. Let them help you get back on a regular sleep cycle.
Graduating college students are about to enter a very uncertain job market, but a staffing firm that is partnered with San Jose State is reminding students that agencies stands ready to help them find a job. Reporter Carson Will has the story.
Recent tech layoffs in the Bay Area leave many graduating college students worried about their chances in the current job market. Slingshot Connections is one of the resources worried students can turn to. The organization helps with resume building, filling out job applications, and connecting students to jobs. Van Nguyen works at Slingshot Connections while still attending San Jose State.
I focus on community strategizing in terms of like connecting with communities, finding ways to resolve any sort of issues with finding jobs, helping folks create a resume, building a professional portfolio.
One of the things that we're really excited about is our connection to SJSU. A lot of our recruiters and our staff are either alum or attending San Jose State University. Also a lot of folks in our network, so it's special to us.
The company partners with businesses looking to hire local talent. At this Slingshot Connections event, San Jose City Council member Omar Torres said the company is benefiting the community.
We are at a crossroads in the city of San Jose, and there's a mass exodus of folks, and the reason why is, there's no good paying jobs, and the housing, we have a housing crisis. And so this organization makes sure that folks are employed here in our city or in other localities, and that they're able to stay here.
Torres encouraged students to seek out agencies like this one to help them get a foot in the door once they graduate.
Be resilient, but make sure that you are trying to connect yourself to organizations like these. Sometimes we can't do it alone, and you do need that extra push.
On its website, the agency lists available jobs, all the way from mail clerk to research and development lab assistant to tech support positions. And they are encouraging new grads to connect with them.
We're just down the street from you all, so feel free to stop in, say, hey, can you look at my resume, give me some feedback, prepare for an interview, that kind of thing.
In San Jose, I'm Carson Wells, Update News.
California could become the first state to ban the popular candy Skittles. A new bill proposes banning the fruit-flavored, brightly colored candies and other foods that contain 5 chemicals linked to health problems. Titanium dioxide, red dye 3, potassium bromate, brominated vegetable oil, and propylparaben are already banned in Europe. In the U.S., they are found in candies, dairy products, breads, and other baked goods. The food industry is lobbying against the proposed ban. Assemblymember Jesse Gabriel introduced the bill. He says he hopes it would prompt companies to change their recipes the same way they've done in Europe. The proposed ban gets its first committee hearing in April 11th. Stay tuned.
Will this rain ever stop? Joshua Gilman has our 7-day forecast.
This is Joshua Gilman with your weather update. All right, what to expect in the next 5 days? We are going to be having a sunny weekend this weekend, so definitely if you have any plans, this weekend will be the weekend because we are having yet another atmospheric river system this week. Chilly nights are going to be returning to the lower 40s, but let's be happy we're not in the 30s anymore because that was a bit much. And more showers are on the way for next week once again. Mainly it's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday. It's a little uncertain about the severity of the storm, but honestly, I believe it's not going to be as strong as the atmospheric river system we're experiencing right now. And speaking of the rain, here's the extended outlook for the rainfall totals going through Wednesday evening. We're not going to, of course, be seeing any activity on the weekend, maybe just some misty conditions along the coastal areas. But as we get into, of course, Monday night to Tuesday, that's where a lot of the action happens. San Jose is predicted to be about maybe 0.8 inches, San Francisco at 0.95, and Santa Cruz at 0.85. Most of the Bay Area is not going to see more than an inch of rain. It's going to be probably about 3/4 average. So once again, not going to be as severe as previous atmospheric river systems. All right, going to the 7-day local forecasts. Starting in Santa Cruz, they are going to be a little more mostly cloudy and misty over the weekend, but they are going to be seeing that sunny day on Sunday, and of course, trickling into the showers Monday and Tuesday with highs consistent in the mid-50s. San Francisco is going to be also seeing those highs basically at 55 degrees across the board with lows into the mid-40s. They are going to be seeing a little more cloudy, mistier conditions on Monday, but mainly Tuesday and Wednesday will have the actions for the showers. And in Oakland, they will be, of course, having very similar conditions from San Francisco, not too far away. And yeah, once again, Sunday into Monday will be a little more mistier. And finally here in San Jose, We are going to be seeing those mostly sunny conditions on the weekend and Monday and Tuesday with most of the rain. Not too much action the rest of the week, and the coldest nights will be Friday and Saturday night at 41 degrees. Other than that, it's going to be mainly in the mid-40s with highs in the mid to upper 50s. Alrighty, that's your weather update. And once again, just be on the lookout for any road closures or inundated roads as soils are very super saturated. And enjoy the sunny weekend this weekend because there is another system on the way next week. Probably not an atmospheric river system, but definitely more showers on the way. Alrighty, back to the desk.
Here's what's coming up when we get back.
Next, we see how the San Jose State's men's basketball quarterfinal matchup versus Radford ended. And then we take a look at women's softball to see if they came out as the winners over the University of the Pacific. Now to sports. The San Jose State's men's basketball team won its first round matchup against Southern Indiana, 77-52. They went on to face Radford in the quarterfinals in the College Basketball Invitational.
San Jose State's men's basketball made it to the quarterfinals of the College Basketball Invitational, where they took a halftime lead of 28-26 over Radford. Unfortunately, Radford went on to outscore the Spartans 41-29 in the second half, losing with a final score of 67-57. Senior Mountain West Player of the Year, Amari Moore, finished the final game of his career, scoring a team-high 17 points for the Spartans. The tables began to turn in favor of Radford once junior Ibrahima Diallo didn't return from the first-half injury, where he established a dominant paint presence. San Jose State finishes its season tying a school record with 21 wins, but sadly, this wasn't the storied ending the Spartan fans were hoping for. They'll have to wait until next October for another chance to prove themselves to the world. Next, we go on to see how San Jose softball did in its matchup against the University of the Pacific. After starting off the bottom of the second inning down 2, sophomore Aubrey Thomas hit an RBI single to get the first Spartans points on the board. The game remained close as both teams kept taking the lead from the other, ultimately leading to a 7th inning win in favor of San Jose State. Sophomore Taylor Squires stole home from second base behind 2 throwing errors by the University of the Pacific, scoring the final winning run for the Spartans. San Jose State softball heads to New Mexico to continue Mountain West Conference play.
San Jose State softball heads to New Mexico next to continue Mountain West Conference play.
We've been talking all month about the global celebration of women's history. It recognizes the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of those who identify as female or with femininity. What does femininity mean to you? That's this week's question in the State of the Spartans.
It's basically just having everyone be at the same footing, whether you're a woman or a man or transgender or any other gender.
So to me, feminism means giving women the freedom to choose. So for me, femininity and feminism really means strength and empowerment. I think there are two really big things that stand for it.
I think feminism means really as a community that we cultivate more inclusive ways that we involve one another, whether that be advocating for other identities, as well as just really making sure that our voices are heard.
Feminism to me means all genders having equal rights and opportunities.
Cool it down, cool it. If you aren't busy this weekend and need something to look forward to, Carson's got some ideas for you in her calendar.
Here's what's coming up this week. Stupid Effing Bird opens this weekend at the Hammer Theater. The San Jose State Theater Department puts on the performance March 23rd at 7:30 p.m., March 24th at 11 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., and March 25th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets cost $10 for students and can be found by scanning the QR code below. The Hammer Theater will also be showing a live screening of Jack Absolute Flies Again. Showtimes include March 26th at 2 p.m. and March 30th at 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 and can be purchased with the QR code below. Enjoy the public art in San Jose. This 3-hour tour kicks off March 25th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and continues into April. Registration and more information for this free event and upcoming tour dates can be found with the QR code below. Happy spring break, Spartans! That's all for this week. I'm Carson Wells.
And that does it for this week's edition of Update News.
For all of us here, thank you for joining us and see you next week. And be sure to follow us on our socials at SJSU Update News.